Welcome to Oberman Amplified. This is the very first episode of the podcast. Our guest is the incredible Helen Yee. Her book is I Belong Here. You can pick it up at helenhyee.com. Today is Chinese New Year. Happy New Year. It's the year of the fire horse, and we found someone amazing to chat with about her Chinese heritage, entrepreneurship, mindfulness, musicianship, queer community. It's all in here. So sit back, relax, and thanks for being here. Make sure you like, subscribe. It helps us to grow. And if you really want to do a solid, drop a comment. Hello and welcome to Oberman Amplified. I'm here with today's guest, Helen Yee. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kristen, for having me on your show. I feel very honored and just really excited.
Yay! Okay, well, we have a lot to talk about. You were born in Hong Kong, raised in Columbus. You founded the American Institute of Alternative Medicine, where you're currently the CFO. You are a third-degree black belt, so don't fuck with you. You are an Olympian, two-time national gold medalist in Taekwondo. You are a bass player. You are a very active member of the lesbian community and helping diverse voices, do their thing and be represented. And you also, in my mind, are like a master of business. And that's something that we talk about on this podcast is music business, entrepreneurship, mindset, how it all comes back to that. So, and also you're an author, and I just finished reading I Belong Here, which was an amazing read. Where can folks find your book?
Well, thank you, Kristen. I have it on Amazon, and you can always go on to my website, helenhyee.com, and you can order it directly from me. I can autograph it, sign it, whatever. So
mine's autographed, not to brag, but okay. Well, it feels like very you and very kismet that you're the first guest, and not only are the Winter Olympics on, which you've been a part of the Olympics, and which is crazy. That's like 0.00001% of people. And it's also Chinese New Year. It's a Lunar New Year, year of the fire horse. I wanted to ask you about any traditions you had around Chinese New Year and also your sign and any rituals you would suggest for us non-Hong Kong born trying to enjoy it.
Well, listen, Kristen, I am very honored, like I said, to be here. And I love that you talk about all the different things that I do. But I'll tell you, being a martial artist, one of my mentors was Bruce Lee. And one of his favorite quotes was, "The best fight is no fight." And so even though I might sound like a badass on paper or have the belts for it, but honestly, if I can avoid any kind of situation where it comes to a physical level, I try. And as far as like Chinese New Year, yeah, my celebration for many years, I've always been with a lion dance performance troupe where we go to lots and lots of different Chinese businesses, such as restaurants, stores, and so forth, and other organizations that celebrate it big time. We have the whole fireworks going. We have the big lions dancing on each other's shoulders. But I happen to be the what do you call it, the little happy Buddha, and so I have to stuff my uniform with pillows so that I kind of fit the part.
Because
And I
you're
have this
not that tall, you have to be the Buddha?
no, yeah, that, and there's a specialness about being the Buddha because you have to have kind of a sense of humor. So when I'm dancing or doing my acrobatic moves in a restaurant, you have to be really careful because I have seen food flying all over the place because the lions couldn't see them or whatever. But what I like to do is I like to play with the audience, and I like grab their Tsingtao beer or something and act like I'm drinking it, or steal their food or their credit cards, whatever's on the table. But celebration is the key, though. You want to, and many restaurants still celebrate Chinese New Year's in that way, but it also brings our community together, and we get to kind of put out there what it is that we celebrate, not only the resiliency of immigrants coming here to America and starting a brand new life here, you know? Not only were there challenges in the language, but also just bullying and racism, which I had experienced growing up in an all Catholic white school. So it really did get to a point where I was feeling I need to find a way to maybe defend myself. And so I got myself into martial arts, and I excelled in it because I also really like to be athletic. Um, but you know what's funny, Kristen? As soon as I knew that I was able and had the ability to defend myself physically, it was like there was a shift in my own energy as
Mm.
to how I carried myself. Because not only in martial arts do you know or learn the physical self defense aspects, but you also learn all the virtues that come along with it, like confidence and self esteem and respect and all of those, like I said, virtues that kind of transform your own being in the world. And so I really do owe a lot to the martial arts. So as a second juncture, I never really liked to fight in class.
Mhm.
That wasn't the part that I really enjoyed about, doing taekwondo or kung fu systems. I've done several disciplines. So, but the thing was, I love the knowledge that I gained from it. But for some reason, my coach, my teacher, my master, and my best friend. She was also on the taekwondo team. And she basically sat me down one night and said, Helen, you're so talented. And if you wouldn't joke around so much in class, you'd be a really good martial art fighter, you know?
Mm.
So I took all of her words, you know, and really thought about it. And then I started to really train seriously and got to be on the US Taekwondo team and then became an Olympic alternate for the 1988 Olympics, which was, I actually did not get to go to Spain at that time,
I thought it
and
was in
so
Seoul, the
oh,
'88
Seoul, Korea.
Olympics,
Yeah,
which
that's right.
Taekwondo is Korean, so I can imagine that would be like extra.
Yeah. Well, and they didn't send the alternates that year. So, and it was disappointing, but what really was great was the next following year they sent me to compete in the World Cup. And so I was able to actually compete against all the people that placed in the Olympics. And I actually got a silver medal in that competition. That one I'm really proud of because I did get to uh go, toe to toe with some of the best fighters in the world.
Incredible. That's amazing. Just to backtrack, what's your Chinese zodiac sign?
Oh, I'm a rat, which
Ha!
the rat is a
Small.
really powerful animal, astrology animal because eh, the story is the rat there was some kind of a contest that the emperor back in the day had all these animals could he wanted to have a race who could go around some kind of trip or something and then come back and whoever was first was like deemed, kind of superior. I don't know. I'm not saying that the rat is superior, but the rat symbol is they're very clever and they know like how to, for example, the rat didn't know how to get over the river and so he jumped on the back of one of the other horoscope signs. I think it was the ox. And so the oxen took him over the river and he was able to jump off the ox or who was almost going to get to the finish line before him, but he was faster. He was successfully the first zodiac animal that made it there to the finish line, I guess. And so we're known to be very resourceful and just being able to think outside the box and be clever in that way.
That's amazing. I'm a fire rabbit, which I think in
A
that
rabbit.
race, the rabbit was like winning and then got distracted and
I
wound
think
up
I
losing.
think that's the tortoise and the hare.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Wrong culture.
That's funny.
Wow. Yeah, you've done well. As a
I
do you know if you're like a metal or a wood or a water rat?
I'm water, I
Okay.
think.
Very
That's funny.
Bruce Lee. Move with the
Right.
yes.
Yes.
Did you see the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I did. I did. And
How did
now,
that feel for you? Just because it was kind of representing, like, maybe a family similar to yours, hardworking immigrants,
mm,
a lot of racism and just uphill battle.
Yeah. That movie, had my hero in it, Michelle Yeoh, because, it was first Bruce Lee and then Michelle Yeoh came into the picture, but it was a little bizarre, and, I get what you're saying that a lot of the foundation was seeing how much, the storyline about, hardworking families that come here, and I would have to say even the superstitions that carry out in families, Chinese families, where I had a lot of contrast and conflict with my mom because so when we came here, I was 2, and then I got all the bullying when I started school. And so I didn't want to embrace my Chinese heritage. I wanted to do everything, that would not bring about any kind of attention to it. Because of that, I would join sports teams and be a cheerleader and just everything that would get me to look like I belong. But
Mhm.
mom and I always, the movie that comes to my mind is The Joy Luck Club. Have you ever seen that movie?
I feel
Yeah.
like maybe pieces of
It's
it.
a it's an older movie, but it really does, digs really deep into the heart of the relationship of the Chinese mom and the daughter, and how, this whole conflict of, with my mom, it was a lot of Chinese superstitions
Mhm.
and just not wanting to be a part of all of it, but she really wanted me to embrace my heritage, and yet I was more shunned against it until I realized how important that heritage piece was, and I was never comfortable in my own skin until I was able to embrace it, and, when I was little, I never thought of being so different until I started school, because I played with my mom's family and other Chinese families that had kids my age. We
You had
didn't
a
see
lot of,
any
like,
difference.
cousins and
Yeah.
stuff running around?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we all look alike, we all ate the same, and I had all kinds of different similarities of growing up. So it was very different and very traumatic starting school and then having to experience racism for the first time. And, but it gave me a lot of resilience and being able to stand up for myself, in the way that I had to.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
speak in the book about going to your father's restaurant and well, your mother and father's restaurant and saying you kinda say in passing that they had been robbed before, and you were like you had nunchucks on the dashboard of your car, 4'11", and I
I
think,
did.
that's kind of, I don't know, that must be really terrifying to have this been a place that you and your little brother would, like, spend time after
Mhm.
school, and it was, like, your first job, and it just was probably like a second home or like another place you felt very comfortable, but then to have that sense of safety, like, was
Yeah.
that just Ohio in the is this the '70s, '80s? It's kinda
Yeah.
rough or
I think it I think in general, so, I mean, anyone that's had an experience where they've been robbed, you feel so violated, and it is traumatic, whether it's in your own home or on the street or, in a restaurant and so forth. So that whole feeling was being able to when my mom told me about dad not wanting to get out of the restaurant just yet because there were 2 guys in a car waiting for him, it really made me, like, not only angry, but, what can I do to help this situation? So, of course, I screech up into my Plymouth Duster with my nunchucks on the dashboard.
quick interruption from your favorite sponsor. It's me. And it's the year of the fire horse. My new album is called Pinto. It's out now on Righteous Babe Records. So pick it up today on vinyl, high quality digital download, cassette. Also, I've been in the music business game for a long time and I've worked as a consultant. I'm launching this podcast now, but if you want to go even further, check out my website and schedule a one on one free discovery call. Maybe we could start working together. And also, did you subscribe yet? Like? Okay, back to the interview.
So, one of the stories I have in my book is when I got held up at gunpoint in the car, and I was driving home one day after band practice, just unlocked my door, and some guy slides into the passenger seat. And, my neighborhood's pretty friendly, so I thought it was one of my neighbors. But as soon as I saw him, he had like bandana over his mouth and nose, and then he pointed a gun at me, at my head, and said, "I need you to drive me somewhere." And right there, my being just sank. And I teach self-defense, Kristen, so I know, like, I wasn't gonna go to a second location with him, but I also know that, um, my think just from all the years of martial arts, I was able to really ground myself, align myself, know what to do with the next. And I don't know where this came from, but I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, I know you." And that totally startled him. And it gave me precious seconds to put my knee up against my car door, 'cause, I knew that I was gonna not be in the car anymore, and he goes, "You don't know me," and I said, "Yeah, you're Darren's friend." I don't even know a Darren, so it just came out of nowhere, and then he started to say, "Just drive," and so I said, "Okay," and I just flew myself out. I just pushed myself out, and I started screaming for help because that's the other thing in self-defense classes we teach, you should scream, um, and yell for help because even though you may not think that there's anybody around, who knows? Somebody might hear you or something like that. So that was my strategy. I jumped out of the car, I ran up to my neighbor's house, banged on it, just screaming for help, and then I hid. But what was really interesting is that my neighbor 2 doors down the other way, he had already gotten onto the non-emergency number, called the police and said, "Hey, there's a suspicious guy in the neighborhood." And the dispatcher says, "So?" And he said, now there's a woman screaming for help. So he heard me.
Very sus. Yeah.
He heard me. Then she said, "Oh, I'm dispatching cruisers right now." And so next thing I saw was helicopters, search dogs, all kinds of police lights,
And you
and
ran under like
a
an
car.
SUV.
Yeah, because I tried to hide from him because I didn't know where he was, and I figured if he's gonna shoot me, at least he's gonna shoot me here in my neighborhood, and I
Mhm.
saw that the only place that I could hide was underneath, my neighbor's SUV, because his backyard had nothing to hide behind, and that way I could at least see his feet if he was still coming towards me, and, I went ahead and I called, my business partner. I said, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but I just been held up at gunpoint, call the police," and I hung up.
You're so
She's
polite. "My
you know,
life's in
you
danger, but if
I
you
know,
don't
"Sorry,
mind."
sorry, excuse me." No, I know, it's just weird how sometimes you just don't you're not thinking, you're just trying to figure out, situations, but, yeah, so he got caught, and the beautiful thing was I had an ending to what happened to me, whereas all the other women before me didn't know what was I mean, he had all of their information, and he
Mm.
did escalate to, like, sexual assault, of course, because he was feeling real confident, but he's got 27 years, and, it just made me feel really good, and then Connie
Wow.
Schultz, who is a national I think she's a Pulitzer Prize journalist. She's married to Sherrod Brown, and she wrote the article about my gun holdup because she heard about it, and she said, I would like to interview your story because I think it could save a lot of lives."
Mm.
And, you know, it was really hilarious because she goes, "I don't know if you know me, but I'm married to Sherrod Brown, and, he's a Democrat, and I don't know if that's a good thing." I started laughing. "Yeah, it's a good thing. I'm a Democrat."
Yeah.
So, but it's just the empowerment of being able to know that in that kinda life-threatening situation, I
Mhm.
felt like I knew what I had to do, and I knew things that I wouldn't do, There's no way I would try to disarm him because he was just so close.
Mm.
So none of those physical skills that I knew, I would not do.
You can't be judo chop. No,
Yeah.
not with a gun. Not with a gun.
Yeah, the playing field was not fair. But, now I really dedicate a lot of my after all of the fighting career that I had, I moved into teaching Tai Chi and Qigong because I created a school. I went ahead and started a massage, acupuncture, and nursing school after I came back from competing many years and also at the Olympic Training Center was the first time I ever got like a massage and it was a sports massage. And it was just one of those light bulbs in my head that turned on and said, I really want to learn how to do this. And that's how I got into body work and, opening up my clinics and then later my school.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about that because, well, first of all, thank you for being the type of person whose energy ripples out and makes the world a better place. It just seems like things
Mhm.
just flow around you, and I can see how the healing modalities would totally speak to you. But, for a lot of musicians or artists, entrepreneurs, there comes a time when you're like, I need to pivot what I'm doing. This isn't working anymore. And
True.
you talk about in your book how there was a point when you were just like, I'm past the age. I walked off on my own power, but it sounds like you kind of got smacked around pretty hard the last time you were going out for the Olympics.
Yeah.
And how would you suggest to people to like if they're gonna make a change, if they're gonna make a pivot to find joy in that? Because it doesn't seem like you were wringing your hands and you were like, oh no, it seems like very, you're a very kind of chill, matter of fact, like, okay, I'm gonna try this. Oh wow, I'm successful at it. Oh wow, cool.
It's funny, Kristen, because when I was little, my grandfather always encouraged me to do Tai Chi with him because he would do it every day. And I would say, oh, that's for old people. So, of course, it comes, circling full circle towards me when I'm in my older years to teach the Qigong and the healing and the Tai Chi energy works. And it was kind of a natural segue because, yeah, my physical body couldn't handle all of the injuries that I was getting from fighting full contact. And I was one of the older athletes, so, of course, the next segue for me was to do more of the Tai Chi and the Qigong energy aspects of the martial arts. And, when I opened the acupuncture program, or started the acupuncture program, that's one of the requirements in the curriculum is that healing, energy, Tai Chi and Qigong, piece.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm. So what are you seeing in people that maybe are in therapy or they're in, they're trying to work it out, midlife crisis, whatever. I see a lot of drug and alcohol abuse in the entertainment communities. It's just a tough area. Like what do you think is happening with modalities and energy and like in your body that could be affecting your mind or affecting your performance that people don't even know? Like, is it like you jam an acupuncture needle in there or you like release a knot in someone's hip and all of a sudden they're like not depressed anymore or like how do you see it all
Well,
working?
yeah, I actually believe in a lot of modalities, not just one form of it. So, but my doorway to it was a lot of the body work as a massage therapist. And, when you become a massage therapist, it's not just working on their body organically, it's also centering yourself and grounding yourself and being able to, apply your energy and also how you do the techniques. But I think for people, uh, there's other ways like meditation, it's very underrated. I think so many people feel like it's either boring or they can't do it or they tried to do it and it just was like something that just seems so simple yet people don't take the time to meditate. And I
Mm,
was one of those like in going through martial arts and all of that as a younger person because I know that I was more yang energy versus yin. I was very into a lot of the physicality of things and so forth and building muscle strength versus energy strength. But there's a time when you realize that you're depleting because you have to have a balance of that yin and yang energy. The life force energy is all about the balance, and same with everything in the universe. That's why the philosophy of Taoism explains a lot of that. And so when I first met my Qigong master, she told me right away that she could see that my energy was so off balance. I had too much
mm,
yang and not enough yin and that I needed to do Tai Chi and Qigong. I learned under her, Master Wen Mei Yu. She was in California and she passed away recently. But it was like it took me a while to finally feel the sensation of the chi moving in my body and feeling more grounded. But I think,
what
you
is
know, s-
yan versus yin?
yeah, so there's these opposing energies that make up all living things. So you have the yang energy, which is more of like a male energy, for example, or the sun, or white light. energy, and then the yin is more mother nature, nurturing energies, the moon and so forth, and female energies. So there's that whole combination, and if you have too much of one or the other, it kind of affects your constitution,
Mm,
and so
mhm.
you may be off balanced a bit. And all of the traditional Chinese medicine is based on that particular philosophy of the energy balance.
Wow.
It's very
I
interesting stuff.
Yeah, I love it. And then doing these qigong moves, you actually feel the energy within yourself. Do you
Yeah,
have like
and
a morning? Sorry, go ahead.
it takes time. Like I didn't feel anything when I first started studying and practicing Tai Chi, the moves and everything. It wasn't
Mhm.
until maybe a few weeks or even months that I realized that I started feeling the energy more. Even then started to gradually feel it even just being prepared to do the form. And
Mm.
so I do have a ritual. In the morning, I do a lot of the Qigong movements, but with the Tai Chi, I basically teach a workshop on how to do the actual form, whereas Qigong are a lot more like exercises that stimulate the meridian pathways, the meridian points, and all of the energy that runs through those pathways, which can get blocked or stuck or stagnant,
Mm.
or maybe even too much excess energy in some part of your body, which could create a dis-ease.
Wow. Yeah, you signed your book for me, with lots of chi. Or
Yeah,
let me not
right.
misquote you. You said, "Oh, big chi, big chi."
Big chi.
So you're someone who was really generous and like let me perform at your house. You filled it full of an amazing audience. We love house shows for artists who are touring and maybe they're drawing like 50 or to 100 people. If you're not drawing 300 people to a show, do the house show circuit. Play for
Yeah.
groups of people. But you you drive cars that I love. You live in a nice house. You have a great community of friends. The fact that you were able to say, I'm having a show, and then the show was like full of 20, 30 people, within a few minutes. Everyone talks about how we are in like an epidemic of loneliness. And, I
Mhm.
think there's this idea of either you can be financially successful, but you have to be like a beast where it's all about the money, it's all about achievement, or you can have, a nice family life, you can have a nice home life, you can be doing good volunteer work, but you're going to be broke. And I feel like you've managed to succeed like on your own merit, sort of in both of these modalities. And do you have any, like, does it feel like that to you? Or is there a certain key to the balance that you found to being like, I got to do this business stuff? Or, you know what? It sounds like fun to pick up bass and go play a women's music festival. So I'm going to go.
I think it's more, when we're younger, we think about how, what life paths we want to do, whether it's a career or starting, a family or going back to school and so forth. I think for me, if I look back at my life and I see all the different stepping stones that got me to where I am today, I look at the fact that the contrast of having all of that bullying and racism got me into the martial arts. In the
Hmm.
martial arts, being able to become a successful athlete opened the door of healing modalities such as sports massage and then acupuncture and then, so forth. And so starting a school, I didn't grow up thinking when I get older I want to be a massage therapist or a school owner, an entrepreneur. It was more these little opportunities, and that's a real important thing that I do share with people is that pay attention to the opportunities that come in, that show itself to you because, I've taken all these different risk and chances and went ahead and, followed into some of the opportunities that presented themselves to me. And they turn out to be really beautiful things, whether it's, a chance in business or in music. I never thought I would ever be in a band, but when I was little, I was like doing not karaoke, but lip syncing to Motown music with my friends, and I always like just had that vision, like just fantasizing, just daydreaming. And then the opportunity came because Bitchin' Animals was coming to Columbus, and my friend Susie said, "Hey, do you know any bands that might be able to open for Bitch?" And I said, yeah." And I wasn't really in a band. I just was practicing and having fun with a few other friends that were just tooling around with our instruments. And I went and found a drummer, and I couldn't find a female bass player. So I said, well, it's two less strings than a guitar. Why don't I just try to figure it out? And so
Yeah.
we opened for Bitchin' Animals, and then I mean, we were horrible, but
Uh,
we didn't but we kept at it, and we lasted for, like, 15 years.
that was Wednesday
When
Wine.
Yeah, Wednesday
And
Wine,
now you're in a band,
Lucky Blue.
Lucky Blue. Cover band?
Yeah, it's an all-female it's actually we're all lesbians, don't know how that happened, but yeah, we've been playing out, and we're not even a year old yet, but we have a great following.
That is so amazing. Congrats on everything. And
Thank
I
you.
I wanted to talk a little bit about just like the storytelling in your book is so amazing. The book is I Belong Here by Helen H. Yee. It's a beautiful story. And you talk about going to Florida and going snorkeling and seeing a lightning strike in the water. Luckily, you weren't hurt, but I would love the description of what did that look like. And also, I just feel like coming from this warm, Hong Kong is like quite humid and tropical, right?
Yeah,
It's a
they
city. But
yes.
but you're born there and then you're in the Midwest, you're in Columbus, Ohio. And I feel like was there something about having your kind of, your youth in Florida and then in the water that was, I don't know, transformative or a coming home in a way, just a place you needed to be?
I didn't where we landed when I was younger, my family landed here in Columbus, Ohio. I grew up here. My grandfather started the restaurant business here, and then I happened to take some trips to Florida, but also, it wasn't until I was an adult that I moved there after graduating from college and, almost graduating. You'll have to read the whole reason for that, but I obviously moved down there just to be with somebody. I was in love, and we lasted for 6 years, and then I think that was a completion of a chapter in my book in my life. And then I moved back because I wanted to be around family. And then but I think some of the experiences, especially with Florida, it was the ocean that I missed the most. Anything that it wasn't a career thing, it wasn't other people, it was the nature of all the undersea world because I would snorkel a lot and I would see all kinds of sea life going on that you'd never believe that, like these huge jellyfish that were 4 feet in diameter, like a
Wow.
whole island of a whole, I don't know, tribe of them. And I almost like swam right into them if I didn't have my mask on. I would see, the same eel or sea urchin or something like the flounder that buries itself into the sandbar. And yeah, sometimes phenomenal things like lightning striking the ocean while we were in the water still looking, with our snorkels, and it just looked like this whole flash of bright light.
Hmm.
And, it must have been far enough that it didn't it didn't get, hurt. At least I hope not. I mean, maybe I have some dead brain cells, I don't know. But it was really incredible. You see dolphins doing like spins in the air, flips and stuff. And I thought
Wow.
they learned that at SeaWorld, but they're in their natural environment and habitat, and they're still doing that, which is kind of cool. So,
Wow. Well, and you speak so highly of your father in the book, and I could tell you're a daddy's
yeah.
girl, and you had some special moments, and oh, it just was like it was heart wrenching just to hear that you weren't really able to say goodbye. But
Yeah.
I think it also like it probably changed the trajectory of your life, and it seemed like when crisis would come up with your family, you were like ready to step up and help in whatever way. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
it's
definitely.
a big big plot twist and, would make a great movie someday your life.
I don't know about that, but I did feel that, needing to be here, was a calling to me, how you just have an instinct or something of a feel, intuition. And
Mhm.
so I love Columbus and I love being here. One of the things that I pride myself on is that I do a lot of community contribution. So not only volunteering at the very level of, in the ditch kind of volunteer, but then also being able to get into being have a seat at the table, being on a board
Mm.
for different festivals. I'm a commissioner for the Columbus neighborhoods, which deals we actually decide on cases of discrimination, whether it's in
Mm.
housing or public accommodations or anything like that. And that keeps us busy. I'm involved with the LGBTQ. I was a vice president for on the Stonewall board.
Which even the name Stonewall, I mean, the federal government right now is making us take down the pride flags from
Well,
where
it's
the
back
first
up, is what
brick
I
was
heard.
Okay, well, that's good, and,
It is good, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
we'll fight back, the queers really will. But you had
absolutely.
mentioned, the teachings of Abraham Hicks and Jane Roberts, who channeled Seth, and kind of thinking about, like, law of attraction stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
you also talk about just, like, listening to your intuition, listening to your voice. You had a Vespa accident, like a near-death experience that your inner voice didn't wanna get on that, and yet you
Yeah.
went for it, and I had an experience with, someone I did business with where in my heart,
Mhm.
I was like, "This doesn't quite
Doesn't feel
feel
right.
right," but then my brain was like, "This is a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's go." And oh gosh, it would have been better just to or I remember signing a lease with an ex-girlfriend many,
Yeah.
many, many years ago and being like, "I don't wanna sign this lease," but there I was signing it. So, I was just curious if you've ever, like, I don't know, did you went to a Catholic school and your mother was Catholic-ish?
Yeah, well, ish is right. She would have me go to church to save all of our souls.
No
You
pressure.
know yeah. No no pressure. I think, and my dad, he wanted to cover all the bases, so he was also a Buddhist, and then he was, playing into the catechism stuff and all of that, but, going back to what you said about law of attraction, it's all about energy, whether you call it that or call it, deliberate manifestations in your life. The thing is putting out intentionality, and seeing a vision of what you particular want. It's not all woo woo, A lot of people think that's all woo woo stuff, and if you think about like people that channel certain entities, there's something to that, and you have to kind of decide for yourself what works for you personally. That the teachings of the Abraham Hicks materials and also the Jane Roberts stuff that came really early on in the '80s for me to because I don't think being a Catholic wasn't working for me anymore. It
Mhm.
didn't not a lot of it didn't make any sense after when you get older, you're like, these pieces don't fit for me anymore.
Was
So
she really a virgin?
you are too funny. Yes, that and does everybody go to hell? You don't go into the confessional box and, confess your sins? It doesn't make sense, like we
Mm.
have this big old world of, globally we have so many different religions, so many beliefs and stuff like that. And I do truly believe that people that are kind-hearted and so forth, that's where I think where we connect here, at least in this realm, to be able to manifest kindness and connections with each other. And there is a lot of things that are challenging in this world now. And I think about, especially with the ice happening, it makes me, I live differently. I
Mm.
have a passport on me all the time. I'm aware of my surroundings.
Damn, you carry
You
your
know,
papers,
I carry papers. I
and you've
make
been
sure
here
that
multiple generations.
yeah, but you see on the news all these things, and I do try to limit myself from watching and exposing myself so much to that, the media, because otherwise it just, you know, it can really cripple you.
Mm.
So I try to encourage not just myself, but others who ask me, what do you suggest people do? And I said, well, if you see something, say something, which that was before all this stuff happening with this administration. But if you see, somebody And those are the people, like, are taking videos of everything going on because,
Mhm.
we're all witnesses to it and so forth. I think that's a good thing. And then also during the COVID and the pandemic, people were not supporting the Chinese or the Asian communities because of him saying that it was the Chinese flu that was causing this flu virus or whatever. So you saw a lot of businesses go out of business. You saw a lot of physical altercations of, people getting attacked, and support those businesses, support somehow, go to a restaurant, and if you see something, or go to marches or places that you feel supported.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I sometimes fall into the like pity party of, oh, things I wanted to go after are like hard. Like, for example, I wrote a screenplay and
Oh,
it was an entire, feature film. I did a bunch of research for it. I spent
uh-huh.
ages of time. Now I'm on draft 4 of it. But at the time I had finished it, I shared it with someone and they were like, I can't pass this along because it's not up to standard. And
Uh,
it was actually, like, devastating to me because I don't know if it's a millennial thing, but I was like, "I'm owed something," and I just think that being 4'11", being, like, you're a cheerleader, you're trying to do everything to be the perfect, like, Midwestern American, and people are judging you by the way you look, and you say in the book, like, God was like, "Hey, how about you'll be gay too, just for fun, like, on top of all this other shit you have to deal with." And
yeah.
and yet you are such see, you're laughing now, like, and you're the happy Buddha on the, Chinese New Year celebration. I mean, how does one keep taking punches and not have the joy get extinguished from it?
Sucked
And
out of me.
I think that's something that I'm struggling with a bit. It's, like, fun to pivot into this podcasting space because I've been so, like, hardcore about pursuing music for so many years that it's
Mhm.
like I need to just try to share information with other people and, like, spread joy and
Mhm.
see if that brings me back around to something. But,
Yeah, and
yeah, do
I
you,
think.
like, ever just, like, rage or wanna just, like, flip out on someone?
Yeah, of course. But I'll tell you what, Kristen, you have always, to me, I've followed you for a long time as this brilliant musician, and I think with your music and the way that you carry yourself, you're such a high influence to those who get to see you, to lay their eyes on you when you perform, and just as an all around good person, you're really one of the most sincere people in this business, because not everybody in the music business has that heart of gold. And I feel that truly with you, and I will always support you anytime you come to Columbus, for sure. But I think that, to me, in the words of your songs, it's motivational. If I had to say, living your life and being an example
Mhm.
of all the things that you believe in, I think that influences others to become better people as well. So that's
I love that. You talk about the right person showing up at the right time. You talk about visions and dreams, and then talking about like is it called the modal lines or
the what?
in the lines of the Chinese
Oh,
acupuncture
meridians,
meridian lines, and
meridian
there's
pathways.
energy that you can feel, but you can't necessarily see. And
Yes.
I loved that you mentioned the Seth books because I actually had sort of a metaphysical experience. I was driving from Folk Alliance in Kansas City to a show in Indianapolis, and I was listening to the Seth material on audio.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the narrator was saying, like, "I'm like Superman, I could just, like, fly out of anywhere because you're creating your reality every second." And I said to myself, "I wonder if that's really true that we're creating our reality every second." And I always say that when I see, like, an orange truck, I'll, like, make a wish. It's, like, my sort of abundant color. It's my favorite color, orange. So when I see an orange truck, I'm like, "Awesome." And just then when I had that thought, I wonder if we do create our own reality. An orange truck drove the other way, and it said Seth I across the
You're
side of the
kidding.
truck.
Wow, that's amazing. No, I
And I
truly
was
believe
like,
it.
"What?
And
What?"
it's not all just good stuff. I mean, I know people would argue with the fact, oh well, I didn't create this. This is horrible what's happening to me. But, it's not about the words, and and it's about how you align yourself with certain things, or expose yourself. Sometimes I think, especially like with my gun holdup, that
Mm,
was horrific, right? But
mhm.
I remember a month ago before it happened, I was so frustrated with my training in martial arts, and I was like, how I wish I could have a better impact, bigger impact in the world about my martial arts.
Mm.
Well, now when I look back at the fact that this horrific thing happened and then it went viral because a journalist picked it up, and then all these other organizations started asking me to do talks and teach self-defense at their companies or at their organizations or wellness centers and conferences. And so I kind of got what I wished for. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm.
be more maybe I need to be more specific, on how, but
Yeah, I
I do
mean,
think,
wow.
yeah, and it's my belief, and whatever you wanna believe in, that's okay too. If you don't believe in law of attraction, that's alright because, no, I think sometimes people think I have my head in the sand kind of, thought way of thinking, but I'm aware of what's going on in the world, but I don't try to make a career out of, it bringing me down,
Mm,
because every minute of, you just have to be grateful and appreciate things that are happening or that you have already
mhm,
and so forth. Gratitude is a huge energy,
mm.
vortex or way to stay grounded, stay aligned in a positive way. Be grateful.
Yeah, that's so deep, and it really can shift the way that you're feeling in
Yes.
an instant, just to put it in perspective. I was driving
Right.
home from a shift at work, and I don't know, I've been working at a restaurant recently, which has been a ego death of a bit, but I was feeling sort of sorry for myself, and then I drove by, like, a big homeless encampment, and I had some food, and I dropped off the food for these people, and it was really, really super cold, and
Oh,
I was really happy just to get back in my warm car and yeah, whew, not worried about, I don't know what
mhm.
such and such said or don't they know this and all that
It's
noise,
the
you're right, it can have
yeah.
repercussions where the universe doesn't hear not this or yes this, it just hears what are you giving attention to and here's more of it. So
Yeah,
gratitude is huge.
it is huge.
I wanted to ask about you have a picture in the book of being at the March on Washington in 1987, I think,
Yeah, yeah. That
for
was
women's rights, or was it for lesbian
No, it
rights?
was for gay and lesbian rights, and that was the first year they put out the AIDS quilt, and
Mm,
so it was one of my very first, activism, moves in my life, or that it just really touched me that, to be there with all these other people. Yeah, that's it. I was so inspired to and so motivated to take more active roles in my life for
mm.
other
And I mean, being a lesbian in Florida in the East, and then in Columbus in the 90s. I mean, my parents, I don't remember this, but my dad's black, my mom's white. They were eating at a Waffle House in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is like one of the where the KKK is from. And
Mm,
a police officer told them to leave, to
uh,
not eat there. And that was in like the maybe like 1993 or something. So
you know?
I just cannot imagine some of the scary, fucked up, discriminatory things, and yet you have the resilience inside yourself to say, "Hey, I need to do this for my entire overreaching community." And you're talking about ICE raids that do affect you, but it's also mostly it's brown folks and it's people speaking
Mhm.
Spanish.
Yeah, and when I was in Provincetown this past October fall, on the day of the No King's Day, thousands of people. It was just so unbelievable, and to be a part of that was just, it just touched my heart, touched every being inside of me that we had all these, and I consider allies because I am a person of color. I am a lesbian, and I think about like all of the folks that are out there who support you know the LGBTQ folks of different color and so forth. But it makes I think that's the one thing Truly feel like if you want to do something, it's standing up for, discrimination and standing up for others' rights and things like that. Because, being privileged, you don't have to go through the experience of, getting bullied or beaten up or shot.
Mm,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I think with all of this happening right now in this world, it's bringing a lot of people together, which is like a silver lining, is what I
Mm,
see it as. It's creating this connection of people, and people on the other political side are,
yeah. They're starting to say,
we're-
wait, I didn't vote
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
American citizens getting shot in the streets. And
Yeah, or my neighbor being dragged out from, a car or something. It's becoming really well aware of so many things. I mean, even with strong people that are speaking up about the whole Epstein thing in this world. I mean, wow, everything's coming to light. Everything's
mm-hmm,
coming to a head,
mm-hmm,
and the privileged elites are, look at what's happening here.
mm-hmm. Yeah. The even like Deepak Chopra,
Oh my
like
gosh, it's shocking, isn't it?
it really, I had one of his books and I put it in the free library because I said, I don't want this in my house anymore. But this is one of my favorite photos of you. Amazing. You are airborne.
Oh my
And
gosh. And I
you
had to do that like 8 times because he's like, "Oh, can you do it one more time?" And I'm like,
can you get a faster shutter? So crazy. And you're so cute. Look at
"Oh my
that.
gosh. Boy,
Ah.
don't I look young there." Yeah, that was
Well,
fun.
have you ever thought about doing like stunt coordination for movies or TV with all of your martial arts background? And then you've also written a play, you've written a book, you can paint, you can do everything. It's amazing.
I mean, I did go out and do some acting, and I've also been in several different commercials. I like to just explore other ways of being creative, even if it's
Mm,
reading a script and doing a monologue. But it really challenges me because I hate monologues. They make me so nervous. And I used to hate speaking in public. And because of owning the school, I had to do a lot of that. And so, like some of the things that push you out of your comfort zone is what's gonna make you grow,
mm.
so
Wow. So many amazing pieces of wisdom. Well, I kind of have a
Mhm.
recurring segment on the show. This was my grandmother's podcast in some ways.
Oh,
It's like a love letter to her and it says leave me with a smile. So if you
that's
can leave us with a joke or a funny story just to leave us with a smile, the floor
oh
is
my
yours.
gosh. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think, if you can just kind of take some time for yourself, the best time is usually in the morning when you're getting up, and just align yourself first before going out and being in the world because, there's always something pulling at you, but you wanna be grounded and be ready for whatever it is that's gonna, be your day, whether it's going out to work or to be with friends or to go somewhere. Keep pivoting to knowing that you need to be stabilized in your own energy and then go out and be who you are.
I love
So
that.
that's my I do have a joke,
Okay.
Kristen. It's
Okay.
you know what this is? I don't either, but here it comes again. Sorry, that's all I got tonight.
Wow. And it's for all ages too. I feel like kids would like that
Right?
one. I know
I
so
know.
many raunchy jokes, so that's good to have.
Oh well, you have to tell me some of those. No, just kidding.
Um, Helen Yi, author, martial arts master, badass. Thank you for joining us on Chinese New Year, Year of the Horse.
Yay.
And thank you. Yeah, just thank you so much. And I'll post links to where people can buy your book. And if they're in
Oh,
Columbus, hopefully they can hear your great new band. And yeah, just thanks for shining your light in all that you do.
thank you, Kristen. Take care.
All right.